This tutorial is about helping you get comfortable with arpeggios on a mandolin. There are so many different tunes like the Golden Eagle hornpipe that I played at the beginning that are based around arpeggios. So if you're comfortable with the notes of all these different arpeggios, then these melodies become a lot easier to play and a lot easier to learn too. I know there have been times in my musical career where I've come across a chord in a chord chart and I don't know what to play over the top, at least not fast enough, and the chord's gone before I get a chance to play something interesting. So if you're familiar with these arpeggios, they can be a very good starting point for what to play over that chord. This little pattern of arpeggios I'm going to show you is adapted from a guitar exercise that Corey Wong taught, and it covers all the different arpeggios from the circle of fifths, the major and the relative minor chords. Some of these chords may not be particularly common in bluegrass or in fiddle tunes, but if you're playing something like Brazilian choro, then you'll probably come across all of them. I'll quickly go through what an arpeggio is for people who may not know. An arpeggio is just the notes of a chord played one at a time. So if you have the chord G, that chord has these notes in it. It's got a G, a D, and then a B, and another G. So if you play all the G's and D's and B's between these top and bottom strings, you'll get an arpeggio. And then if you wanted to play an A flat arpeggio, you would just move each one of those notes up a fret. So you could play all the arpeggios in that same pattern just by moving up the neck. But that's not particularly useful for soloing or playing a melody back down here in first position, because if it was in G and you're playing these notes and then it goes to C, to use that same pattern you'd have to then slide up to here, and then a D would be here, where it's much easier obviously to play a D here starting on the next string. So the first exercise I'll show you is all the arpeggios in first position. So the highest note will be a B with your pinky on the 7th fret. And then the lowest note obviously is a G. And we'll squeeze all the arpeggios into that range. And we'll move through these arpeggios using the cycle of fifths. So we'll start at C and then do the relative minor of C, which is A minor, and then C is the fifth of F. So then you move to F and do the relative minor of F, which is D minor, and so on and so on. So by moving through the circle of fifths, it always sounds like it has some sort of melodic movement and actually makes sense. And you probably find you're using these ideas in melodies anyway. So it's a handy way of getting your way around all of these notes. This pattern is in 6/8 time and it starts in C. So the first arpeggio is this one. So going all the way down to the bottom G, and then the next arpeggio is A minor, so starting on the 2nd fret. And then with F and F sharp, because they are just too low to fit onto the mandolin, rather than just moving up from those notes, we'll go back down again to the 5th below to start, like this. And then the next one is D minor. And then B flat major. Then G minor. And then E flat major. To C minor. And then A flat. And then F minor. And then D flat major. And B flat minor. G flat major. E flat minor. And then B major, and then G sharp minor, E major, C sharp minor, A major, F sharp minor, D major, then B minor, G major, and then E minor. Then you're back to C. When you string all these together, you start to hear how harmonically it moves from one key to the other quite seamlessly, and it just is this continual movement around the circle of fifths, and it gets you through all the sharps and all the flats and all the fingerings in first position. So it's a really handy exercise to get started when you're playing your mandolin. Eventually this pattern will become really familiar and you'll be able to play all the notes without even knowing what the chords are that these arpeggios came from. So it's worth remembering what those chords are and even saying them out loud or saying them in your head as you play them around, so that you lock in which one is associated with which chord. And then when that chord shows up in a piece that you're improvising over or playing, then that pattern will show up under your fingers too. And you don't just play those notes. Melodies don't just consist of arpeggios, but these are like the clothes pegs that you hang your melody on, and they attach your melody to that chord, if you like. And then the ones around are the ones you colour in the chord and make it more interesting. You can also extend these arpeggios up to 7ths and 9ths, 11ths and 13ths, things like that. But if you start with the 1, the 3 and the 5, that'll really lock you into which chord you're playing over, and it will give you a good harmonic reference to then start improvising. But that's all for now. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I make a new video every week and YouTube thinks you might like this one in particular. A big thanks to my supporters over on Patreon. If you would like to join them and get access to the tablature from this tutorial, then the link is in the description. And to all of you, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.